Hey all, welcome back to the channel, or if you're here for the first time, welcome to the channel. I am so glad that you decided to stop by because we're going to do something a little bit different. Yes, by now you know that this is going to be a story, so to speak, of a custom Combiner Wars styled Liokaiser, or Liokaiser. I call him Liokaiser. Honestly, I'm not even sure the correct pronunciation. And I'm doing it a little bit differently than the way I normally do reviews because we're going to sort of begin by looking at this. It is his packaging and Ion Scythe. And we're going to sort of use this as our means of finding a beginning, as our means of talking about where this story starts and how this guy worked or didn't work straight out of packaging. This is chapter 1 in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, man, that's right, hit that notification bell because it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, the Autobot family, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. All of those links are down in the description. A special shout out and a welcome to all of the people that have kind of recently jumped on board. I'm so glad that you've become part of our community. I am so thrilled that you're here. You know, let your opinions and your voices be known. Welcome. And this is where we're going to start things. This is the packaging for the, it was weird, it was not, I guess it was Combiner Wars, but it was a Transformers Platinum Edition Combiner Wars Liokaiser. It's such a strange branding for this because the Platinum Edition were a lot of G1 reissues. Combiner Wars was sort of its own thing, even though we did have several box sets, and this guy sort of branded as both. I don't know, and he is highly stylized. Now, even though this is going to be the story of a custom, the way I want to do it is sort of start off with the packaging here and kind of talk about it and what comes in the packaging, and we'll sort of talk about how well the stock version of this guy works or doesn't work. And this is my excuse to sort of cover this little lad who became the 6th member of this team. Yeah, okay, sure he was. It's alright, but if ever there was a stylized combiner, this would be it. The argument could be made, and I think rightfully so, that Liokaiser probably should have had his kind of, I'm not going to say own molds, but some more remolding and some more work done on him. Very akin to what we're getting with the Selects Seacons. But that's not what happened. This was a little bit more of a mishmash. How well did it work? Well, we're going to head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Now, like I said, this is going to be kind of different because we're doing this one in chapters, and of course chapter 1 is beginning at the beginning, which is when I got this guy in hand. Now, this has been a long time coming, as I've mentioned. This is now the Christmas season of 2019 as of this recording. I got this as a gift in 2018, but because I knew it needed work, and because I wanted to include certain things that have not yet been released, or I had to wait on ordering, or whatever, this has kind of been a big custom of mine that was a long time coming. And we're going to kind of discuss, by way of the packaging here, my initial thoughts when I got this guy. And we are going to take a look at Ion Scythe here as well. I'm saying Sith, I assume it's Sith. So, what else do we actually get in the packaging besides the actual characters? Well, we do get a beautiful artwork poster, just like the artwork that's on the front of the packaging. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but it is very, very nice, even if highly stylized. Furthermore, we get these instructions, and these instructions basically cover, at least on this side, basically cover going from alt mode to robot mode, and on the other side, it covers going from robot mode, or sorry, alt mode to like limb mode, or in the case of Desirous or Death Source, if you will, torso mode. And And beyond that, because we know that these guys are made up of Combiner Wars reuses, then we know that we get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 core members of the Destron team, and that's what they're called, Destrons. This is also platinum. Like, this had so much weird branding to it. The 6th member is this guy, so it is still a team of 6. And we, of course, get your hand, foot, gun pieces, and you get a couple of extra blasters. You do not get this thing that he's twirling here, his like nunchuck thing. You don't get that, even though it's on the image. You don't get it. So just to sort of show off, because I have everything out of package here. Of course, I've done a lot of custom work on it, but it was all sort of put in here. So I'm just going to show by way of the images on the package what you sort of got inside of it and discuss it very quickly. And so right up top you can see that the core of this guy is going to be Voyager class Dazaris, who is technically Death's Source. This is a reuse of that Voyager Skylynx mold. It's alright, I guess, but like it's a stretch. You can get like the dragon form of Death's Source, but he doesn't have the proper robot mode. And for somebody who held the rank of leader of the Destrons or Decepticons during Victory, I think he deserves something better than this. Hopefully we'll get something coming down the line and we can forget that that ever existed. In terms of being a version of Death's Source, I think it fails miserably. Of course, there was something you could do with it to kind of make it semi-acceptable, and we'll talk about that another time. But for now, after this chapter, we're not going to see him for a long time. I don't think it was... I understand wanting to reuse the mold somehow, but I don't think that this was the best way to do it. He takes up 2 characters that should be part of this team, of course, that being Liokaiser and Jaguar. So he becomes the entire torso when the torso should be made up of 2 separate characters. They didn't even call this guy Liokaiser or Jaguar. They just said, hey, we're going to totally change it up. I don't think it succeeded. Of course, he comes with those 2 blade things that apparently are swords, I guess. They came with Skylynx as well. Down below him, we actually have Guy-Hawk. And you will notice that Guy-Hawk looks very true to his animation and whatnot. We'll talk about it later on, but he is missing something very important. Going down further, we can say sort of the same thing for Fellbat or Hellbat, if you will. Largely accurate, not perfect, but we'll talk about that another time. Again, he's missing something kind of vital. Down here, we have the 2 leg boys. That being Kill Bison and Drillhorn. Again, largely accurate, but not perfect. And right down bottom, we have apparently Legends class Ion Scythe, who is now the 6th member of the Destrons. And of course, last but not least, we have Liokaiser all combined. And it sort of looks like Liokaiser. There's a lot here to sort of dissect as to what I thought was unacceptable, at least for me, fresh in a package. Now, to be fair, there have been third-party offerings that have, I think, done this combiner better. But this does fit in with the rest of my Combiner Wars collection. And that works for me. It's not going to work for everyone. So what's wrong first? Very first thing, all of these guys are missing their little diminutive chest partners. The name of this group is the Destrons. That's incorrect. I understand why they did it. It was witty, it was clever, because you took the name Decepticon, the way it is in Japan, being Destron, and you applied it to this group, which was really in Japanese-only fiction, part of that G1 Japanese-only fiction. So I think it's clever, but of course we know that these guys are the Breastmasters. And I understand why they might not use that name, but you could have called them the Chestmasters or, I don't know, something. Either way, all of these members should have small partners, small breastmasters, chestmasters, whatever you want to call them. And they don't. So right away, you're missing all of those. And I wanted to try and come up with a means to rectify that. We'll see that later on. So the name wasn't right. Missing their diminutive partners wasn't right. In terms of the acceptable nature of most of the molds, yeah, I can get behind it for the limbs, but not for that torso. Having Desirous take up the place of Liokaiser and Jaguar to me is unacceptable. No, you should have had those two characters. Now there have been a lot of fixes for that. Some people have used the Power of the Prime Starscream mold and repainted it to become Liokaiser and just forget about Jaguar. Some people have done that and they have used a Little Legends iteration like Beachcomber to become Jaguar. Some people have 3D printed parts, for example. So there are options that exist. In fact, there's even, though I don't have it, there are a set of like, I'm going to say knee pieces, knee extension pieces, that allow you to take the lower legs and turn them to the side as they should be in G1 and still retain a knee bend. So looking at the combiner itself here, starting from the bottom going up, because we already know that in terms of the main box set, there are issues with it. I don't like the way that it was necessarily put together. I get what they were trying to do, but there was room here to do better. Starting from the bottom going up, the two bottom legs are fine. Their color is largely fine, but they should be to the side. Like this tread should be turned to the side. Now you can, just for display purposes, turn these guys to the side as they should be to stand him up. However, in doing so, you're going to lose the ability to bend the knee. If you want to do that, that's up to you. But it's, it's an unfortunate loss of mobility. Let's put it that way. It can be rectified with a 3D piece, something, I think it's from Shapeways maybe, I'm not sure. So that can be rectified, but straight out of the package, the legs are the wrong orientation. Correct legs, wrong orientation. The arms, much the same thing. The arms are fine. There's nothing wrong with them really. Maybe a little too much like jet pieces, but you know what? It's the molds. It is what it is. I accept it. And of course, we all know that with the G1 animation, like some of those vehicle pieces tended to magically disappear. So as far as the four limbs go, not bad. But then we get to that torso, man. Oh, that torso. And while I like the fact that we have the pieces that go with Desirous, and we have, this little blaster here and the other little blaster that would go with the plain bots, they work out fine. While it's nice to have all of those things, I can't get past the fact that he should have his nunchuck. That's also missing. The torso itself, the top of the head is the top of the Lynx Master head, or the Skyrain head. They put a new mask underneath it. It looks like Liokaiser's head. I'm cool with it, except it's black. It should have been more of like a tealy green color. The main torso, it has black and teal in it, so like it largely does embody the look of the character, except for the thighs. The thighs should be more white, and the kind of pelvis section there should be more black. I don't know. It's all right, but I look at it and I say it's about a 7 for a Liokaiser. A 7 because of a number of things that are good, but just not quite good enough. And perhaps the most glaring part of all of this is the inclusion of, and so of course we get to what is essentially the first of the Destron members, because I'm not going to call this a part of the Breast Force. Some people have surmised that this is supposed to take the place of Liokaiser because it's a flying thing. No, definitely not. This is based on the Gull Arms Micron. I think this is the first and maybe only use of an Arms Micron mold outside of Japan. It's cool, and it's very Siege-esque in that we have, a peg down on the bottom there. If we flip up the head, we have another peg up here. The head can turn, by the way, and it can turn, so it has that bit of articulation. The arms can go back, they can't go up and down, but underneath them we do have peg holes. We have another peg on the back here if we fold the tail up. So in terms of, articulation, I don't know. It's a bird. How much articulation do you need? 10, I guess we'll say. In terms of paint, I love the interplay of the silver and red on the blue, and I love this Decepticon insignia over here. So I'm going to say 10 for that. In terms of transformation, well, it does this, and it does that. It could be, it's easy, but I don't know what this is. I guess you could hold it underneath like a stun gun blaster electro thingy, or you can flip the head up and still hold it underneath if like the wrist stuff would get in the way, or you could hold it by the end like this as like a melee type of thing. I don't know. Like, it's cool to have an add-on, but to say that it's a proper member of the team that makes up Liokaiser, I think that's a stretch. Overall, I guess this thing is a 10 for what it is, but is what it is actually worth having? That might be the part that's open for debate. I don't know. Cool to have it, but I wouldn't have missed it if I didn't have it. And so here we are once again, and you can make your own, I don't know, decisions about how well you think this works out of package. I don't like having replacement characters, especially when one of them is Death Source, or Desirous, if you will. Like, he was the leader of the Decepticons in this era. He deserves his own iteration. It's cool that this guy is included, but he's hardly a replacement for Leozak. And these guys are the Breast Force and don't have any of their, breast partners? What? There's a lot missing here. Like, the base idea is good. It's one of those things where you squint at it, you can see what they were going for, and I believe some third-party companies have probably pulled it off better. So while I'm glad to have this guy, and this is sort of where we end things off in Chapter 1, while I'm glad to have this guy, I immediately recognized that there was a significant amount of work to do here, at least in terms of the torso. Not so much when it comes to the limbs, although all the limbs did need their partners. Yeah. Anyway, that's where things stand. In Chapter 2, we'll probably start off looking at the legs first, and probably start off with this lad over here, just to give you a little bit of a preview. Let me know what you think about this guy straight in the package. Did he work for you? Does he not work for you? Do you think that he needed a lot of extra love and care? I know I certainly did. I appreciate you guys coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there is a donate link down in the description. Please hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, it helps me out so very much. Don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time, man, that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams at the stop motion premieres, or right here, the old-fashioned way, for Chapter 2, inside the videos.